crack, would exploded inward like cheap fireworks. There she stood, Barbara Kensington, HOA president for life, because no one else wanted the job. Sledgehammer raised like she was auditioning for a villain role in a low-budget home renovation horror flick. Her face was locked in that signature Botox smile, the kind that says, "I'm winning," even when the room temperature is dropping faster than her approval rating. Behind her, two rent-a-cops fumbled their phones, thinking they were documenting my arrest. They had no idea I was the one holding the cards. I sat at my kitchen table, coffee still hot, calmly stirring in a second sugar packet. Next to me, gray-haired and unflappable, sat retired State Police Lieutenant Frank Delgado, badge still clipped to his belt even though he'd been off the clock for 6 years. Barbara's eyes locked on that badge. The sledgehammer slipped from her manicured fingers and clanged to the floor like a dropped mic in a bad comedy. "Barbara," I said, voice low and sweet as iced tea. "Meet Lieutenant Frank Delgado. He still carries his badge. And he's been recording this whole thing." Her face went from smug to sheet white in record time. The color drained so fast I swear I heard it slosh. "Now let me take you back 6 months, because this didn't start with a sledgehammer. It started with a welcome basket and a smile that could curdle milk. My name is Ethan Caldwell, 44, former Army combat engineer. Got my walking papers after an IED turned my right knee into a jigsaw puzzle outside Kandahar. Nothing Hollywood-worthy, just bad luck and good morphine. The VA pays the bills, and I do remote structural consulting from my laptop. When my grandmother passed last fall, she left me her little slice of paradise, a 1950s ranch house on the edge of Willow Creek Estates, a gated community of 180 cookie-cutter McMansions that looked like they were all designed by the same depressed architect. The house had character, original hardwood, wraparound porch, a backyard that backed right onto the community lake. Grandma used to say the lake was the only thing the HOA hadn't managed to ruin yet. Turns out she was wrong. Barbara Kensington, 58 going on 12, had ruled the HOA with an iron fist wrapped in pastel golf gloves for 8 years. Picture a woman who wore pearls to mow the lawn, drove a pearl-white Lexus with president plates, and smelled like Chanel No. 5 mixed with passive-aggressive rage. Her signature look, khaki capris, a monogrammed polo, and a clipboard she treated like the 10 Commandments. We met at Grandma's memorial service. While everyone else was eating deviled eggs and sharing stories, Barbara cornered me by the punch bowl. "So sorry for your loss, Ethan," she cooed, voice dripping honey and venom. "Now, about joining the HOA. It's only $450 a month. But think of the property values. We have standards here." She actually handed me a membership packet, right next to the condolence card from the florist. I smiled politely. "Thanks, but the house isn't part of the HOA. Grandma's deed predates the development by 30 years. Her smile tightened like a tourniquet. "We'll see about that, soldier." She said soldier, the way some people say trash. I should have known then she had a special allergy to anyone who didn't bow. 3 weeks later, the first certified letter arrived. My dock, Grandma's dock, built in 1958, supposedly encroached on community lake access. Removal demanded within 30 days or legal remedies. The letter was written in the kind of legalese that makes you wonder if the author had swallowed a law book and thrown up on the page. But here's what Barbara didn't know about combat engineers. We document everything. Twice. I spent a weekend in the county records office, a place that smelled like mildew and broken dreams. Found Grandma's deed from 1958. Lake access rights explicitly granted, Doc listed as a permanent fixture. First in time, first in right. I mailed her copies, highlighted in yellow, with a sticky note that read, "Hope this helps." Her response, a 7 a.m. drive-by in the Lexus. She stormed up the walkway in heels that should have been classified as weapons. "Listen here, soldier boy," she hissed, perfume hitting me like a chemical attack. "I've removed 4 families from this lake. You'll be number 5. I just smiled. "Have a nice day, Barbara." She left, but the games had begun. Willow Creek was the classic American suburb. 8,000 people, half old-timers who remembered when the land was farmland, half newcomers who thought rustic meant stainless steel appliances. Barbara's HOA controlled 70% of the lakefront and was hungry for more. The mayor was her cousin. The sheriff had a boat with HOA stickers. Neutrality in property disputes meant staying on Barbara's good side. Then came the Saturday morning chainsaw symphony at 6:15 a.m., a war crime in suburbia. I stumbled outside in boxers and an old army hoodie to find an HOA maintenance crew, installing a chain-link fence across my driveway. Barbara stood there in a lavender tracksuit, clipboard clutched like a shield. "Morning, soldier boy," she chirped. "Just reclaiming community property. Our updated survey shows your driveway is on HOA land." Dated. The word hung there like a bad smell. They'd already cut halfway through the ancient live oak Grandma planted when my mom was born. I carved my initials in that bark at age 8. Phone out. Recording on. "Gentlemen," I called, calm as morning fog. "Can I see your contractor's license?" The chainsaw died. The operator stared at his boots. "We're volunteers," he mumbled. "Volunteers with commercial-grade chainsaws. On a heritage tree protected by county ordinance. $100 fine per inch of diameter. This one was 48 inches. Quick math, $4,800 in trouble. I dialed the county environmental office on speaker. "Hey, Linda, Ethan Caldwell. Got folks chainsawing the Caldwell oak on 1427 Willow Drive. The one from 1962. Linda's gasp was audible. "The Caldwell oak? I'll have a deputy there in 15. The crew scattered like startled squirrels. One guy left his post-hole digger stuck in the ground. Barbara vibrated with rage, clipboard shaking. "This isn't over," she shrieked. I stepped on the paper that fluttered out of her clipboard and ground it into the mud. That afternoon I was back in records, Ethel the ancient clerk saving me my chair. "She strike again?" she asked, sliding me coffee in a mug that read "World's Oldest Clerk." Barbara's updated survey was filed 24 hours before the fence incident. The surveyor's signature looked like a drunk spider had walked across the page. But the real gold? She'd pulled the same stunt on 4 other properties. Same playbook, bogus survey, intimidation, forced sale. Every house ended up with Kensington Realty LLC. Subtle as a brick. I built a spreadsheet. Dates, victims, sale prices. The Martinez family lasted 5 months. Their son was headed to Stanford on scholarship when they lost the house. Word spread fast. By evening, Mike from the hardware store cornered me by the nail aisle. "Heard about this morning," he whispered. "The Martinezes were good people. Their kid helped my daughter with algebra. No charge." He leaned in. "A few of us been talking. You're not alone." That's how Willow Creek Property Rights was born. A group chat that grew from 5 to 18 in 48 hours. Monday brought the violation letters. Daily. Absurd. Grass 3.4 inches instead of 3, $75. Mailbox flag not at 45-degree angle, $50. American flag insufficiently illuminated, $150. That last one burned. I served under that flag. Watched friends die for it. Now some clipboard tyrant was fining me for lighting. 43 violations in 3 weeks. $2,300 in fines. But Barbara made a fatal mistake. Every citation was certified mail, signed, dated. She thought she was building a case against me. She was building mine against her. Then came the environmental inspection. A water district truck rolled up. 2 officials looked apologetic. Complaint about your dock causing damage, one said. I offered coffee. Sure. But first, want to see the 1958 Army Corps permit? Signed by Colonel Kensington. I paused. Any relation? The older guy choked on his coffee. Turns out Barbara's great-uncle had approved the dock decades before her HOA existed. They left with apologies and no citation. I installed trail cams. Military grade. Cloud upload. Night 3. Footage of an HOA guard pouring something around my grandmother's magnolia tree. Soil test came back. Diesel and herbicide. Attempted murder of a 70-year-old tree. I posted the clip on the community Facebook page, HOA security poisoning trees at night. Yours next. 847 shares in hours. Comments exploded. Barbara got the page shut down. Then Margaret Hayes, former board member, called. Meet me at the diner. Bring a flash drive. Over pie that tasted like revenge. She slid me a folder 3 inches thick. 8 years of records, she whispered. Barbara's been skimming HOA funds. Buying foreclosures through her LLC. Selling back at markup. Total? $1.8 million. She turned the HOA into her personal piggy bank. Anyone who questioned it got harassed until they sold. The Petersons tried an audit. Their garage burned down a month later. Electrical fault. Officially. Our group chat hit 40 members. Sunday potlucks in Mike's barn. Nothing bonds people like shared rage and deviled eggs. Barbara's next move, whisper campaign. Suddenly I was that unstable veteran with PTSD. Store clerks flinched. The barber didn't have openings. Gas station guy watched me like I might steal the air pump. She weaponized my service. Turned my sacrifice into gossip. Old stress response kicked in, copper taste in my mouth. But I'd learned in the sandbox, when the enemy shoots, they reveal their position. Barbara was desperate. Saturday my truck wouldn't start. Sugar in the gas tank. Distributor cap missing. Cameras malfunctioned that night. Spray paint on the lenses. I documented, filed claims, stayed calm. Then the county notice. My house declared abandoned structure. Demolition in 30 days. Signed by Harold Kensington, Barbara's cousin, whose inspector license expired in 2020. I checked the state database. Harold had been running illegal inspections for years. Every condemned house sold to Kensington Realty. 17 properties in 4 years. Monday Harold arrived in a county truck. Cheap suit, nervous eyes. Mr. Caldwell, here to inspect. I smiled. Recording. Before we start, can I see your current license? His face collapsed. It's in the truck. So is mine. I said. Right next to my complaint to the state board about your expired credentials. He ran. Left the clipboard. I filed with the state. Copied the FBI. Frank Delgado, the retired lieutenant, started dropping by for coffee. She's panicking, he said. Desperate people make mistakes. He called old contacts. FBI. State police. The wheels turned. Sunday 4 a.m. Volunteers arrived. Cars lined the road. Tom from the group set up streaming gear in my living room. Sarah Nguyen, local reporter, positioned cameras. By 5:30, 250 people gathered. The Martinezes drove 4 hours. Margaret Hayes sat front row. Sheriff rolled up, saw the crowd, remembered urgent business elsewhere. Streams went live at 5:45. Good morning, Internet, Tom said. Welcome to the most documented HOA takedown ever. Viewers climbed 1,503,000. 6 a.m. Sharp. Barbara's Lexus led the convoy. Security guards, contractors, even her own news van. She thought she was ambushing me alone. I sat at the table with Frank. We played gin rummy. Barbara stormed the porch. Ethan Caldwell, by HOA authority. You're under arrest for $62,000 in fines. She waved papers. Surrender or we force entry. I stayed seated. She grabbed the sledgehammer. Fine. Just like last time. Crack. 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 Door caved. She stepped in, panting, triumphant. Then she saw Frank's badge. The hammer dropped. Morning, Ms. Kensington, Frank said pleasantly. Lieutenant Frank Delgado, retired. Please continue your criminal trespass and destruction of property. We're getting great footage. Barbara backed up. This is you can't. I stood. Tell us more about your authority. Barbara. Tell everyone. I gestured to the window. 250 faces appeared. Every family she'd bullied. Phones up. Barbara spun. Arrest them. All of them. Guards looked at the crowd. Frank. A viewer count, 12,000. They walked away. Sarah Nguyen stepped forward. Sarah Nguyen, Channel 5. We're live as HOA President Barbara Kensington commits multiple felonies. Barbara backed against her Lexus. You can't do this. I run this town. The mayor is my cousin. The sheriff. Actually, a new voice said. FBI agent Laura Chun stepped out. Badge out. The sheriff just resigned. Your cousin too. They're in custody with Harold Kensington. Barbara tried to run. Tripped in heels. Face planted next to her president plate. Viewers, 28,000. Agent Chun cuffed her. Barbara sobbed. It's his fault. That crazy veteran threatened me. I pulled out the 1922 deed. Actually, Barbara, I said. My great-grandfather sold this land with a reversion clause. Any hostile act against the Caldwell family, ownership reverts. I smiled. You triggered it 147 times. Attorney Dan stepped up. Filed this morning at 6 a.m. The entire 412 acres of Willow Creek Estates now belongs to the Caldwell estate. Gasped. I raised my hand. Relax, folks. I'm not Barbara. Effective immediately, the HOA is dissolved. No fees. No fines. No more rulers measuring grass. Cheers. Every resident gets clear title. One condition: sign a charter promising no new HOA. Ever. Laughter. Recovered funds go to a community trust. Scholarships. Repairs. An annual Freedom Festival. Sarangwin, you could have kept millions. Why give it away? Because this was never about money, I said, looking at Barbara. It was about justice. Community. Showing that when good people stand together, no bully wins. Barbara sobbed. I was improving property values. You poisoned roses. Burned garages. Used my service against me. You extorted people for 8 years. I paused. Sunrise gilded the lake. Your HOA is over. Your license is gone. Your freedom is forfeit. Enjoy prison. The only grass you'll see is in the yard. No measuring required. Crowd erupted, not vengeance, but relief. Barbara slumped as Agent Chun led her away. Pastor Lee prayed for healing. Margaret Hayes approached, tears shining. Evil wins when good people do nothing. Today, good people did everything. 6 months later, kids cannonball into the lake. The Martinezes reopened their taqueria, lines around the block. Barbara got 14 years. No parole. The FBI uncovered a $15 million network across 5 states. The Caldwell Act passed in 19 states. Mandatory audits, liability insurance, personal charges for harassment. Willow Creek thrives. Property values up 35%. Because people pay for freedom. I stand on the porch Grandma loved, smelling fresh-cut grass, no fines attached. Barbara thought power meant control. She learned it means nothing when good people stop being silent. Got an HOA horror story? Drop it below. Was Barbara just enforcing rules? Or did she deserve every second of that takedown? Comment, right or wrong. Who really won? Hit like if you're team justice. Subscribe for more HOA reckonings. We'll see you next time.